Hello there guys, welcome back to another video. We are back working on the BMW 650i. Now before we get into things, do me a massive favour, give this video a big thumbs up. It really does help me out and it shows your appreciation. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. Now, exactly what are we going to be doing today then? So we are going to be back working on the infamous N62 powered V8 engine. Now, we're going to be doing quite a simple and easy and should be relatively straightforward job today. We're going to be swapping out all of the automatic tensioners, idler pulley and both of the belts. So we have the main drive belt. We have this idler pulley, which I believe sits on the alternator. We then have an automatic tensioner for the drive belt. We have the AC belt, and then we also have an automatic tensioner for the AC belt. Now this car is 17 years old. It has covered 105,000 miles or so now, and I have no history of the belts or pulleys or anything being replaced, so I'm just going to go in there and swap it all out, just kind of as preventive maintenance. I'm not getting any issues, I'm not getting any squeaks, but swapping all this out, it's just going to ensure that it's all going to be good for at least the next 100,000 miles or so. Now all these parts that I'm installing, they are genuine OE, exactly what are used from factory. So for the pulleys and the tensioners, we have genuine inner or INA, however you pronounce it, and then for the belts we have genuine Continental or Contitech. Again, these are exactly what BMW would use from factory, however they would likely just stamp their BMW logo to the parts themselves. Now then, enough talking, let's get right into things. So for starters, what we're going to want to do is remove the main engine cover. It's held in by 4 10mm nuts. We'll get that out of the way. We're then also going to want to remove the air box and the air intake pipe, just to give us better access to get down onto the front belts. So I'll just disconnect the mass airflow sensor. The airbox is held in by 2 Torx 30 bolts. I've already removed those, and I've also loosened off that Jubilee clamp off of the throttle body. So this should just pull out, and then we can remove it from the car in one piece. And now we should have all the access we need to get onto both the belts, the idler pulley, and both of those automatic tensioners. Right then, so first thing is first, we want to locate the automatic tensioner for the main drive belt. It is just there. There should be a slot on it, a T60 slot. We want to insert a socket into that on a ratchet or breaker bar, rotate it clockwise. The tension should then come off the belt and we can then slip it off. There we go, tension's off the belt. And let's slide that off the water pump pulley, and we should now be able to remove the belt fully. If you are unsure on the orientation that the belt needs to go back in, then good idea to take a photo beforehand. I've had this off numerous times though, so I remember it like the back of my hand. This video is sponsored by Wolfbox, and this is their latest and greatest superpower turbofan. This is their MegaFlow 200. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. Is this just a small hair dryer type thing? No, it's not that. This thing is so small and compact, but extremely powerful. I'll get it unboxed and I'll show you just how powerful this thing is. So in the box itself, we have user manuals, then we have the turbofan itself, a bunch of different attachments, and we also have the charging cable, storage bag, hard brush, and also a soft brush. So let's get the turbofan itself removed. As you can see, it is a handheld item. We have some power straight out of the box. Jesus. This thing is powerful. Yeah, you wouldn't want to use this thing as a hairdryer. That almost blew my head off. So then, exactly what is this thing used for? So it can be used for anything automotive, I guess. If you are, you know, cleaning your engine bay, for example, you need to blow some leaves away. You need to blow some dust out of the vents inside your car. This is just a nice handheld tool to just get any debris away from places where it shouldn't be. Yes, you could use an air compressor and an airline, but this is so small, so compact, it's, you know, doesn't take any time to set up. You can, you know, have this in your car at all times if you really want to. It doesn't take up any room, and I think the performance from this will probably match or get pretty close to what you'll get out of a standard air compressor. Now then, let's see this thing in action. So I have installed one of the smaller, finer attachments, and yeah, this could be very, very handy when cleaning out your car, especially when trying to get some of the dirt out of the carpet. So let's take a look. That was effortless. Could also use it in your engine bay as well to clear out leaves. So yes, this really is a great bit of kit, and I can definitely see myself using this moving forward. Now, if you do want to check out Wolfbox, maybe you want to get yourself one of these MegaFlow 200, all of the details will be down in that description box below. I want to thank Wolfbox for sponsoring the channel, but now let's get back to the video. Yes, this is the original belt. I would be surprised if it's the original belt from factory. It is a genuine Bmw, a genuine Contitech belt, but can't really see any real cracking in it, so it probably has been replaced at some point in its life. Like I said, I don't have any history of it, so I'm just swapping it out really, so it can't fail anytime in the near future, but it's still in good condition. It's still got plenty of life left in it, but like I said, we're swapping it out anyway for preventive maintenance. I suppose next we shall remove the drive bar automatic tensioner itself. It just takes a 16mm socket. So yeah, that's cracked loose, and once the bolt's fully out, we can remove the tensioner from the engine. So again, there wasn't any issues with this tensioner. It is a genuine INA tensioner, so it could be the original one. Can't really see a date on it, it's very dirty. We do need to keep this bolt though. The new tension does not come with a bolt. It's not a one-time use bolt, it's just a standard bolt, so fine to reuse that. Let's just compare the old tensioner with the new one. There we are, as you can see, exactly the same part. Again with the T60 slot in it. This one, however, comes with the locking pin, so it keeps the tension on. It just makes it a bit easier to install the new belt. So yeah, let's get the new tensioner installed, and you have to make sure you get this in the correct orientation. Generally, the pulley that will be kind of pointing down, or I guess at the bottom of the tensioner, and you'll kind of know it. You'll be able to rock this forward and then it'll just kind of stop. It'll go into a slot. So new drive bar tensioner now in place. I mentioned how the pulley would kind of be at the bottom. At the moment it's a little bit offset. I think once the tensioner comes off, once the tension then goes onto the belt, I think the pulley then moves over slightly. So this is the correct orientation. Like I said, if you install the bolt, you'll then be able to just rock the tensioner back and forth like ever so slightly. You won't be able to move it very far, but that's when you know it's in the correct position. Obviously tighten up the bolt and then you're good to go. Also get the torque spec for that bolt as well. Next then, I'm going to get that idler pulley that is bolted to the bottom of the alternator removed. There is just a cap, plastic cap, you're going to want to pop off. There we are, and then it's just a bolt, a Torx bolt that holds that in place. Now again, I probably won't be able to show you down in here, but it does take a T50 socket, the bolt, so I'll crack that loose. That's the idler pulley removed. So out with the old and in with the new. These do come with a bolt, new bolt with it, and a new cap as well. Again, you want to make sure you get the bolt started with your hand first. You don't want to cross thread this. You don't want to cross thread any of these bolts. Again, I'll torque that down at the end. So far then, automatic tensioner replace, idler pulley replace. It's time to move on now to the AC belt. So again, there should be a T60 slot down on the automatic tensioner. So I'll rotate that clockwise. I'll then remove the belt and then remove the automatic tensioner. Okay, so a strange one with this one. You don't rotate it clockwise. You actually rotate this one anti-clockwise. It's a bit different. Slip the belt off of the AC compressor, and we can then retrieve it off of the crankshaft pulley. That's the AC belt removed. Now this one does have a date on it. How weird's that? It's my birthday, 22nd of the 7th, 07. So this is from 2007. And again, it's not really showing any signs of cracking. So, you know, just it does go to show how long these belts, these, you know, BMW belts last. But it's covered 105,000 miles. It's 18 years old. Is it really going to last that much longer? I would say no. So always best to swap out your belt at 100,000 miles or so. And yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense why there isn't any history of the belts being replaced, because they've never been replaced. And I'm gonna assume that again it's a 16mm socket to remove the tensioner itself. This bolt's a bit crusty. And so is the tensioner as well. Yeah, it's done its job, but doesn't need to anymore. Just going to get this bolt cleaned up a little bit before we get it reinstalled. There we are, that's a bit better. Right, let's get it reinstalled with the new tensioner. You might find it's actually easier to do this one from below, but I think I'll just struggle and do it from above. Now if you're wondering the orientation that the pulley goes in, looks something a little like that. So the pulley itself, that sits at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock to the tensioner. And again, if you rock the whole thing back and forward, it can just move that tiny slight. Then obviously you tighten up the bolt and it's locked in then. Now then, let's torque down the two tensioner bolts, and they're going to be torqued down to 38 Newton meters. There's one, and there's two. And then it just leaves the idler pulley bolt, which I'm going to torque down to 22 Newton meters. There we are. That should be both automatic tensioners torque down and the idler pulley as well. I'm going to install the new cap onto the idler pulley, and now we've got the nice job of installing the new belts, which should be quite easy because we don't have to do anything with the tensioners. The tensioner should be on the tensioner at the moment and not on the belt. So yeah, it should just be a case of getting the AC belt. Now I don't know if there's any correct orientation to install this. I generally have it so that the text reads the correct way, so it'd be installed onto the car like that. So we'll get it around the crankshaft pulley first, and then the back side of the belt runs onto the tensioner pulley, and then of course onto the AC compressor. That should be it in position. Let's make sure it's in all of the grooves, which it is. So now what we can do is just again insert our T60, and for the AC belt we now know we need to rotate it anti-clockwise, and then we can just remove that locking pin that's on the automatic tensioner. There we go, pin has flown out. Again, just confirm that the belt's in all of its grooves before we apply tension to it. Yeah, looks good to me. Then we just let go, and that is our new AC belt installed. Now it's just a case of doing the exact same for the drive belt, making sure it goes back in the correct orientation. And again, I'll install it this way around as opposed to that way around. So again, start off with the crankshaft pulley. Yep, so fairly confident I got it in the correct orientation. So it goes around the crankshaft pulley, along down the bottom of the power steering pump. It then comes back and goes with the back side of the belt over that idler pulley, then goes around the alternator, around the top of the water pump, underneath, and again the back side of the belt goes over the automatic tensioner, and then that wraps around and goes round the crankshaft pulley. So again, just make sure it is correctly seated in all of the grooves, which I'm confident it is, and then we can just rotate the automatic tensioner clockwise and remove that pin, and then the belt should have tension on it. There we are, that's the pin out, and tension should be now on the belt. Yeah, we're looking good. All we've got to do now is fire the engine up, just make sure we don't have any issues. So with the engine now fired up, as you can see, running absolutely fine, no issues, no squeaks, no nasty noises. Perfect. Okay then, so there we go, another successful job done on this N62 powered BMW 650i. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully it's been helpful, hopefully it's been easy enough to follow along there at home. Remember to give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all very, very soon in that next one.